Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? DIGGE546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, so I am going to be dropping a film session later on today. Hopefully sometime today. I'm thinking I'm going to get out of today, hopefully before 9 o'clock. But right now I wanted to talk about Kenny Golladay because that's been what's been going on in Giants land today. He had an interview where he pretty much just said, I should be playing regardless. He accepted that the coach, pretty much benched him week 2, but he didn't understand it. He said that the coaches and staff has been telling him that he's been doing everything that is expected of him. He's been given the effort that they want. He's been doing everything that they want. And he says it's still not translating him to getting the snaps that he feels that he should get. Especially week 2. Week 1, I mean, he played about 70-something% of the snaps. To me, that's acceptable. But week 2, he played 2 snaps the entire game. Kenny Gallade played 2 snaps. Meanwhile, David Sills, I think, played about 67 or 64, somewhere around that. 60 more snaps than Kenny Gallade played. So this is something that's come up. Kadarius Toney first week played 7 snaps, and we thought that was egregious. Week 2, Kenny Golladay plays 7 snaps. He's the $74 million man. He's the guy that Giants fans. I was literally on stream, and I probably had the biggest stream number out of any one of my streams. I think I had like 600 people in the stream waiting to see what was going to happen with Kenny Golladay in free agency. We got this guy. We got Adoree Jackson a little bit after that, and we were not as excited about Adoree. And Adoree has done miles and miles more for the Giants than Kenny Golladay has. And you can kind of start off by saying, first of all, him and Daniel Jones have just never gotten on that same page. You look at him in Detroit, Matt Stafford is throwing him all types of contested catches. Matt Stafford is hitting them on slants. He's taking those slants and breaking tackles and really just a human highlight reel. Every catch he made was like a highlight. He was, jumping over people, getting flipped, holding on to the ball. I mean, literally, they were calling him Optimus Prime. They weren't calling him that. I think they were calling him just straight up Baby Megatron. He was making the same kinds of catches as Calvin Johnson was making for Matthew Stafford. A lot of people say Matthew Stafford kind of carried him. And, there may be some truth to that because you see Cooper Kupp having career years with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is someone who I guess is an expert at forcing one guy to ball. So Cooper Kupp had an historic season. Calvin Johnson had an historic season. And Kenny Golladay had a couple of really good seasons with Matthew Stafford. But the thing that gives me cause for pause is pretty much when Matthew Stafford got hurt, David Blau gets into the game. And the backup quarterback for Detroit is throwing Kenny Golladay contested catches. Golladay is getting open down the field, behind the defense. I continue to see this throughout his entire career in Detroit, even while dealing with injuries. So it's very confusing that Daniel Jones and Kenny Golladay have not even been able to connect on, really one deep pass and almost, I guess a year and 2 games now, or a year and 1 game because Golladay didn't play much. But they have not been able to connect on really one huge, highlight play. The only one you can think of is him hitting Golladay on that slant, Golladay breaking that tackle and getting us in the field goal range to kick that, that game-winning field goal, or that field goal I think that put us in the overtime against the Saints. But other than that, I can't really think of one huge play from Golladay. His best play in a Giants jersey was probably this training camp where they finally threw him a contested catch and he went over top of Aaron Robinson and pretty much mossed him on the sideline. Did the same thing to Adoree Jackson, kind of beat him off the line, had a ton of separation down the field and caught that deep pass. But as far as in game, we just have not seen it. So that connection has just not been there. That could be because Golladay has gotten more and more injuries. And, maybe that's just all lingering and it's really slowed him down as an athlete. Which you could say, you can kind of think about that a little bit. But also, I just think Daniel Jones has not thrown this guy the ball in one-on-one contested catch situations. I would say he did it about once or twice last year. But it's just not a consistent thing that we go to. I don't think that Brian Dable and Mike Kafka like throwing contested catches when you look at the Chiefs, I mean, you look at the Chiefs, look at the Bills. Stephon Diggs is the number one guy there. Tyreek Hill is the number one guy for the Chiefs. And then even Travis Kelce, they're usually wide open. They're scheming guys open. And Kenny Golladay just doesn't have that agility, doesn't have the quick area speed to be schemed open on these crossing routes and running these quick little routes that are really built for guys like Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. Not saying that they're the same type of guy, but guys who are quick in short areas. And we just can't seem to get the ball to Kenny Golladay in any offense. So it seems like he's not a fit for what they want to do, which is still strange to me because we heard from Brian Dable from the horse's mouth, and I hate to hear coaches continue to say this and not put it into action. We heard that every single player would be used to their potential. Every single player will be put in the position for them to succeed. So I would think that having this guy who is a specialist at catching these contested catches, I would think we would try to get him the ball in contested catches situations. It doesn't have to be in the red zone while everything is condensed and things can turn into interceptions. It could just be get him one-on-one on the deep route where he's one-on-one with the guy and just throw it up, give him a chance. Sometimes you just got to do that because those plays are energizers, and those plays are what they're going to – a guy makes a play like that over somebody, the whole team is energized. And that's what Golladay made his whole career on, and we just haven't seen that the last 2 years. And I can't put it all on everybody else but Golladay, but I also can't say that Golladay is so bad of a receiver, ignoring the rest of his career, that he's not a guy who can get, 500 yards in a season. So looking at Kenny Galladay's stats since he's been a Giant, I'll read off Detroit and listen to the numbers, listen to the context that I give here. Started off as a third-round rookie for the Lions. I'm going to give you per game because in 2019, in 2020, Kenny Golladay was not able to get the ball. He was not able to play the whole season. He played 5 games. So I'm going to give you the per game average, and I'll give you the touchdowns just for kicks. I'll tell you how much games he played. So as a rookie, a third-round rookie, 3 touchdowns, along of 54 yards, 477 yards, 48 targets, 28 receptions. That's 2017. 2018, he's got 119 targets, 70 receptions, 1,063 yards, 5 touchdowns, and along with 60 yards. 2019, he's played all 16 games, 116 targets, 65 catches, 1,100 yards, 10 yards away from 1,200, and then 11 touchdowns. Led the league that year in receiving touchdowns and along of 75 yards. And I think that 75-yard touchdown was thrown by David Blow. I'm pretty sure. And then you look at 2020, missed some time, only 5 games, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns. And mind you, 338 yards in 5 games is a lot better than the next year where he had 14 games that he played for the Giants and he had 521 yards. So only 200 more yards in literally 9 more games for the Giants. And along of 36 yards. Along of 36 yards for a guy that's made his whole career on making big plays down the field. And I'm going to just read you these per game averages in a row all the way up to 2021 because he hasn't done much in 2022. But I'm going to read you these per game averages. 43 yards per game, 70 yards per game, 74 yards a game, 67 yards a game where he played only 5 games. So it seems like he's hovering around 70 yards a game wherever he plays. And then he gets to the Giants and he's getting 37 yards a game. And in this past game, week 1, 2 weeks ago, 11 yards a game. So that's only 2 weeks, only a week. So I'm not going to really pay attention to that stat, but it just shows his yards per game got divided the second that he came to the Giants. So looking at all of this, I just really think the Giants have got to do something. You got to figure out how to get this guy the ball. Maybe if you want to use him in certain packages, use him in certain packages. I mean, use him in certain packages and have plays that are built. If the coaches are telling the truth and Kenny Golladay is telling the truth that he's doing everything that they expect of him, then I need to see some plays designed for Kenny Golladay because he's a talented player and we need to be getting him the ball. I mean, I can see if we were scoring, if we listen, guys, if we were scoring 28 points a game or 26 points a game, or we could get a consistent, offensive. If we could sustain drives, I would not be upset with anything. You can play whoever you want to play, but the fact that we continue to struggle on offense and we don't use Kenny Golladay and Kadarius Toney is always either hurt or not being used, we've got to figure out a way to get this guy the ball. He's a better player than David Sills. He's quicker than David Sills. He's just a overall better player than David Sills. I mean, I look at the tape. David Sills is open on those plays. You know why he's open? Because he's literally schemed open. And you got him running a deep route, running a streak, and no one is covering him. He's open on busted coverages. Now, that last play that he had this past game across on that crosser, that was a nice play. But these are the plays that Kenny Golladay could be making. So that's just my take on it. I'm not going to say that it's all everybody else's fault, but there is some onus on the coaching staff to get this guy the ball. He's a guy that averaged around 70 yards a game, and a guy that was probably going to get you about 7 or 8 touchdowns at worst and 11 at the most that he's done in his career. And he just hasn't been able to get it going here. Now, again, maybe Kenny Golladay is completely washed. It doesn't look like that on tape, but maybe he is. Either way, I just want to see them make some sort of effort to make this guy part of the offense. I understand they didn't pay him. I understand all of that, but he is here. He is talented, and we're wasting potential in my opinion. You guys let me know what you think of this whole Kenny Golladay situation. I know some people are completely done with Kenny Golladay. They hate the guy. They don't want to see him out there. They think he's not trying. Some people think that Kenny Golladay is without any blame. There's always two extreme sides. I'm leaning probably more to the Kenny Golladay hasn't really gotten a fair shot. But you guys let me know what side you're leaning towards. And next video coming out, film session of the DBs later on today. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.